Loss appeared certain, until relentless human warriors entered the fray. Part 2. Admiral Laura Bennett stared at the main screen. The 12 small destroyers and her own heavy cruiser had broken away. They flew straight toward the thickest part of the Vexari swarm. No turns, no tricks, just a straight line of fire and steel. She pressed the fleet comm button again. Her voice stayed calm, but everyone could hear the edge in it. Captain Brooks. All human captains. This is Admiral Bennett. Break off immediately. Return to formation. That is a direct order. Static answered first. Then Ethan Brooks's voice came through. It was quiet and clear, like he was standing next to her. Admiral, I hear you, but we're not coming back. The people on Kalis 4 are counting minutes, not hours. If we leave now, they get none. Laura felt her jaw tighten. You will lose every ship, every life. For what? A gesture? For what humans do, Ethan said. We don't abandon our own, not when there's still a chance. The line went quiet. Laura looked around the bridge. Faces stared back. Some looked angry. Some looked scared. A few looked proud. She released the button. He's not listening, she said to no one. Nathan Cole stepped closer. He's not the only one. Look. On the tactical display, the other destroyers had formed up behind the Reliant. The UNS Defiant. The UNS Courage. The UNS Valor. Names that sounded old and proud. Ships that looked small and worn. But they moved together. Tight, steady. Laura turned to Daniel Hayes at Communications. Open a channel to all human ships. Private line. No coalition listeners. Daniel nodded. His fingers moved fast. A soft beep told her the channel was live. This is Admiral Bennett, she said. I will not repeat my order, but hear this. If you go forward, there is no coming back. The Vexari will not stop. They will tear you apart, piece by piece. You know the odds. 12 against millions. You will die. She paused. The silence on the line felt heavy. But if that is your choice, she continued, then make it count. Buy every second you can for the ground. Make them remember what humans are made of. She waited. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Ethan's voice came again. Understood, Admiral. Thank you. One by one, the other captains answered. Short words. Copy. Wilco. We're with you. No big promises, just agreement. Laura closed the channel. She looked at Nathan. They're really doing this. Nathan gave a small nod. They always were going to. On the Reliant, Ethan stood with his hands behind his back. The bridge lights were dimmed to save power. Red emergency glow made everyone's face look hard. Rachel Morgan stood next to him. She checked her console one more time. Engines at 110%. We can hold it for maybe 20 minutes before something burns out. Good enough, Ethan said. He turned to the rest of the bridge crew. Navigation, weapons, damage control, all young, all tired, all still at their posts. No speeches, he said. You know why we're here. The colonies below need time. We give it to them. That's all. Heads nodded. No one cheered. They just went back to work. In the Marine Ready Room, Sergeant Olivia Grant checked her squad. 10 men and women. Armor patched with metal plates. Rifles cleaned. Knives sharp. Kevin Lee sat on a bench. He looked at a small photo of his sister back on Earth. He tucked it inside his chest plate. Alex Carter leaned against the wall. Think we'll see home again? Kevin shrugged. Maybe not. But someone will. Because we're here. Olivia walked over. She looked at both of them. Gear up. We expect boarders soon. When they come, we hold the corridors. No retreat. No surrender. She paused. And if we die fighting. The squad answered with quiet yeses. Then they checked weapons again. In engineering, Chief Engineer Mark Rivera worked with his team. Sweat ran down his face. The reactor hummed loud. Warning lights blinked red. Overload in 5 minutes, he told his assistant, Lisa Grant. We push past that, we get maybe 10 more minutes of full power. Lisa wiped her hands on her uniform. 10 minutes is enough? Mark looked at her. It has to be. He opened the intercom. Bridge, engineering, we're ready to push. Say when. Ethan's voice answered, now. The ship shook as power surged. Lights dimmed, engines screamed. The Reliant jumped forward faster. The other destroyers did the same. One by one, they burned brighter. Smoke trailed from some, but they kept coming. On the Endurance, Laura watched the feed. The human ships looked small against the black cloud of Vexari interceptors, but they flew straight into it. Admiral, Daniel said, Vexari Command is not reacting yet. They think it's nothing. A last stupid charge. Laura gave a thin smile. Let them think that. She turned to weapons control. Target the nearest hive carrier. Full salvo. Give our people cover. The big guns of the Endurance answered. Heavy rail rounds flew out. They hit the huge Vexari ship. Chunks of armor broke away. Green fire bloomed. The hive carrier listed. Pods spilled out early. Some burned up in atmosphere. Others missed the planet completely. It was a small thing, but it helped. Back on the Reliant, alarms screamed again. Boarding pods incoming, the sensor officer shouted. Ethan did not flinch. Marines to breach points. Point defense. Keep firing. In the corridors, Olivia's squad waited. The ship rocked as pods hit. Metal tore. Cold air rushed in. Then came the clicking sounds. Vexari legs on deck plates. The first warrior appeared around a corner. Tall, 6 legs, jaws snapping. Olivia fired. The shot took its head clean off. Green blood sprayed. Her squad opened up. Bullets tore through chitin. Creatures fell. More came. One jumped at Kevin. Its claw cut his shoulder. He grunted, pushed it back, and fired point blank into its chest. It collapsed. Alex threw a grenade down the hall. The explosion shook the walls. Pieces of Vexari flew. They pushed forward, step by step. Blood and smoke mixed. They did not run. They did not hide. They fought. On the bridge, Ethan watched damage reports scroll. Hull breaches, fires, lost sections. Keep her steady, he told Rachel. We're almost through the first wave. Rachel's hands shook a little on the controls, but she held course. Outside, the swarm thickened. Vexari interceptors dove in waves. The Reliance guns never stopped. Shells ran low, lasers overheated, but they kept shooting. One destroyer, the UNS Honor, took a bad hit. Its engines died. It drifted. Vexari pods covered it like ants on food. The last transmission from its captain was short. This is Captain Sophia Reyes. We're done, but we bought you 30 seconds. Use them. The channel cut. The Honor exploded in a bright flash. The shockwave pushed the other ships forward. Ethan clenched his fist. For the Honor, he said quietly. The Reliant kept moving. On Kalis 4, deep in a bunker, Colonel Brian Hayes watched the sky. The feed showed small bright streaks, human ships fighting through hell. A soldier next to him, Private Emily Ford, pointed. They're still coming, sir. Brian nodded slowly. Yeah, they are. He turned to his radio operator. Tell the civilians in the shelters, help is fighting to reach us. Tell them to hold on. The operator sent the message. In dark shelters across the ruined cities, people heard it. Old men, young mothers, children, they listened. Some cried, some smiled. All of them waited. Above, the human ships pushed deeper. Damage grew. Ships bled air. Crews died at their posts, but the line did not break. Admiral Laura Bennett stood on her bridge. She watched the small green dots move forward against the Red Sea. She spoke softly, almost to herself. They're not retreating. They're attacking. Nathan Cole looked at her. Humans don't always run, Admiral. Sometimes we charge. Laura did not answer, but her eyes stayed on the screen. The Vexari hive mind still did not understand. 12 ships, already bleeding, still coming. It made no sense. But the humans kept coming, and the stars watched. Loss appeared certain, until relentless human warriors entered the fray. Part 3. The Reliance shook like a wounded animal. Alarms screamed without stop. Red lights flashed across every wall. Smoke filled the corridors. The ship had pushed through the first thick wave of Vexari interceptors. Now it flew deeper into the dark cloud. Every second brought more danger. Captain Ethan Brooks stood on the bridge. His uniform was torn at the shoulder. A cut above his eye bled slowly. He ignored it. His eyes stayed fixed on the main screen. The descent lanes to Kalis 4 were close now, close enough to see the planet's curve glowing against the black. "Range to atmosphere?" he asked. Rachel Morgan's voice was hoarse from shouting orders. 3 minutes if we keep this speed, but we're leaking air on decks 5 and 6. Power is dropping fast. Ethan nodded once. "We drop the pods no matter what." A new hit rocked the ship. Something big. A Vexari boarding pod had slammed into the starboard side. The deck tilted. Crew members grabbed rails to stay on their feet. "Boarders again," the damage control officer reported. "Deck 4, they're inside." Ethan turned to the intercom. "Sergeant Grant, Deck 4, hold them." Down in the smoke-filled corridor, Sergeant Olivia Grant led her remaining squad. 5 left now. Kevin Lee limped from a leg wound. Alex Carter carried extra ammo boxes. The rest had fresh burns or cuts. None complained. The Vexari came fast. 6-legged shapes moved through the haze. Their claws scraped metal. Their jaws clicked loud. Olivia raised her rifle. "Fire on my mark." She waited until the first one rounded the corner. Then she fired. The shot hit center mass. Green blood sprayed. The creature fell. Her squad opened up. Bullets tore through chitin. Screams, human and alien, mixed together. One Vexari jumped over its dead kin. It grabbed Alex by the arm. Its claw cut deep. Alex yelled, but kept firing with his free hand. The creature's head exploded when Kevin's shotgun boomed. They pushed back, step by bloody step. Grenades rolled down the hall. Explosions lit the dark. Bodies piled up. Human and Vexari together. Olivia's radio crackled. "Bridge to Grant. We need that corridor clear in 2 minutes. Pods are ready to launch." "Working on it," she answered through gritted teeth. She drove her combat knife into a Vexari's eye socket. It twitched and fell. She stepped over it and kept moving. On the bridge, Ethan watched the tactical map. The other destroyers fought the same fight. The UNS Defiant had lost half its guns, but still fired. The UNS Courage trailed fire from its engines, yet kept pace. One ship, the UNS Valor, went silent 5 minutes ago. No explosion, just gone, swallowed by the swarm. Lieutenant Ryan Coleman on the Defiant had an idea. He spoke fast to his weapons officer. "Reroute point defense power. Make a wall of flak. Full spread." The guns answered. Instead of aimed shots, they fired wide bursts. Shells exploded in a thick curtain ahead of the ship. Vexari pods flew into the storm. Many broke apart before they reached the hull. Ryan watched the screen. "It's working. We bought breathing room." His captain, a woman named Sophia Grant, no relation to Olivia, gave a tired smile. "Good thinking, Lieutenant. Keep it up." Back on the Reliant, the drop bay doors groaned open. Marines in heavy armor climbed into pods. Each pod held 10 soldiers. Power armor, big rifles, explosives. They looked like walking tanks. A young Marine named Brian Walsh sat strapped in. He checked his helmet seal one last time. Next to him sat Emily Ford. She had transferred from ground forces last year. Now she carried a heavy machine gun. "You ready?" Brian asked. Emily nodded. "Born ready." The pod doors closed. Red lights turned green. Ethan's voice came over the drop bay speakers. "Pods away in 30 seconds. Make it count. Get to the surface. Help the colonies. We'll cover you from up here as long as we can." No cheers, just quiet nods inside the pods. The Reliance shuddered again. Another hit, this one deep. Engineering reported reactor damage. Power dropped to 60%. Mark Rivera in engineering worked with burned hands. He sealed a leaking coolant line with his own jacket when the patch kit ran out. "Bridge," he said, "we've got maybe 8 minutes left before the core cooks. After that, we lose thrust." Ethan answered, "Then give me 8 good ones." The ship pushed on. Outside, the swarm pressed harder. Vexari interceptors dove like angry wasps. The human ships answered with everything they had left. Missiles, rail rounds, even point defense guns until barrels glowed white-hot. The Endurance stayed close behind. Admiral Laura Bennett watched from her bridge. She saw the small destroyers take hit after hit, yet they did not slow. "Signal the human ships," she told Daniel Hayes. "Tell them we're covering their flanks. Give them every second we can." Daniel sent the message. Then he looked up. "Admiral, they're replying. Just one word. Thanks." Laura felt something tight in her chest. She turned back to the screen. On the planet below, Colonel Brian Hayes stood in the command bunker. The ceiling shook from distant explosions. Dust fell from cracks. The sky feed showed the human ships breaking through, bright streaks against the dark swarm. Pods began to fall. Small glowing dots heading for the surface. Brian turned to his officers. "They did it. They're coming down." A cheer went up. Small, tired, but real. Soldiers in the trenches outside looked up. They saw the pods streaking through the sky. Some burned from re-entry heat. Others flew straight. One pod landed hard near the main wall. The door blew open. Marines poured out. Power armor thudded on the ground. They opened fire at once. Vexari warriors that had breached the outer line met them head-on. A sergeant named Jacob Hayes, no relation to the colonel, led the first squad. He carried a big plasma rifle. His first shot burned a Vexari in half. "Push forward," he shouted. "Clear the breach." His team moved. Fast, hard. They fought side by side with the exhausted coalition troops. Humans from Earth. Humans who had crossed light years to be here. Above, the Reliant took its worst hit yet. A Vexari heavy cruiser fired a lance of green energy. It punched through the destroyer's side. The ship spun. Alarms wailed. Ethan grabbed his chair to stay upright. "Damage report. Bridge is holding," Rachel said. "But we lost main engines. We're falling toward Atmo." Ethan looked at the screen. The drop pods were away. Most of them. Some had been hit. But enough got through. He took a slow breath. "All hands. This is the captain. We did our job. The ground has help now. If you can, get to escape pods. If not, thank you. It was an honor." He looked at Rachel. "Hard burn on maneuvering thrusters. Ram that hive carrier dead ahead. Give the others a clear path." Rachel's eyes were wet, but steady. "Aye, sir." The Reliant turned. Its remaining engines flared. It flew straight at the biggest Vexari ship in range, the hive carrier, a monster of spines and pods. On the Endurance, Laura saw it happen. "My God," she whispered. The Reliant hit hard. Metal screamed. The hive carrier broke open. Secondary explosions lit the sky. The shockwave cleared a path. They dove toward the planet. Vexari interceptors scattered for a moment. Confused. The hive mind felt pain. In the chaos, the human ships kept fighting. Damaged, bleeding, but still moving. On the surface, the first human Marines linked up with coalition forces. They fought house to house, building to building. Every meter cost blood. But they took it back. Colonel Brian Hayes watched from the bunker. He saw a squad of power-armored humans charge a Vexari nest. Grenades flew. Plasma burned. The nest fell silent. He spoke into his radio. "All units, the line holds. Reinforcements are here, and they're human." The word spread, through trenches, through shelters, through burning streets. Humans had come, and they fought like they meant it. Above, the battle raged on. Ships died, crews fought to the last, but the ground had hope now. The odds still looked bad. But something had changed. The humans had entered the fray, and they refused to break. Loss appeared certain, until relentless human warriors entered the fray. Part 4. The sky above Kalis 4 burned with streaks of fire. Human drop pods pressed through the clouds like falling stars. Some broke apart in bright flashes. Others hit the ground hard and opened fast. Power-armored Marines climbed out. They carried heavy weapons. Their boots shook the cracked earth. Colonel Jacob Hayes led the first wave from the main landing zone. He was tall and broad, with a shaved head and a scar across his cheek. He had fought in every major battle since the war began. Now he stood in the smoke and pointed forward. "Form up," he shouted. "We link with the coalition line. No gaps. Move." His Marines ran. Their armor clanked. Rifles stayed ready. Vexari warriors waited ahead. Hundreds of them. 6 legs, sharp claws, yellow eyes glowing in the dust. His plasma rifle sent a blue bolt straight through the nearest creature. It exploded in green mist. His squad opened fire next. The noise was huge. Bullets and energy tore through chitin. Vexari fell in piles. Behind the human line, coalition soldiers watched. They were tired, hungry, many wounded. But when they saw the fresh Marines arrive, something changed in their eyes. A few stood straighter. Some picked up dropped weapons. Others started shooting again. A coalition sergeant named Daniel Ortiz ran to Jacob. "You're really here," he said, his voice cracked. Jacob gave a short nod. "We're here. Now let's take back the wall." They moved together. Human power armor led the way. Coalition troops followed close. They pushed through ruined streets. Buildings smoked on both sides. Rubble blocked paths. Vexari hid in shadows and attacked in groups. One ambush came fast. A pack of Vexari jumped from a collapsed tower. They landed on 2 Marines. Claws ripped armor. Blood sprayed. Jacob turned. He charged. His rifle boomed. One Vexari lost a leg. Another took a shot to the chest. He kept running. He reached the fallen Marines. One was still alive. Jacob pulled him free. Then he threw a grenade into the rest of the pack. The explosion lit the street orange. "Keep moving," he yelled. Above them, the battle in space grew worse. The Reliant was gone. Its wreck burned in low orbit. The other destroyers took heavy damage. The UNS Defiance still fought. Lieutenant Ryan Coleman worked fast on the bridge. "Flat curtain holding," he reported. "But we're down to 30% ammo." His captain, Sophia Grant, nodded. "Then make every shot count. Cover the drop zones." The Defiance guns fired in short bursts. Shells exploded ahead of the ship. Vexari pods flew into the wall of metal. Many died before they reached the ground. Another destroyer, the UNS Courage, flew low. It skimmed the upper atmosphere. Its hull glowed red from heat. Captain Lucas Bennett, no relation to the admiral, gave orders from a bridge full of smoke. "Launch the last shuttles," he said. "Get the wounded down. Then we hold the sky." Shuttles dropped away. They carried injured crew, doctors, engineers, anyone who could still walk. The shuttles flew toward the surface. Vexari interceptors chased them. One shuttle took a hit. It spun. But the pilot, a young woman named Megan Torres, kept control. She brought it down hard near the main colony gate. The door opened. Wounded humans climbed out. Some helped others. They joined the fight on the ground. Megan grabbed a rifle from a dead soldier. She ran to the wall. She found a spot and started shooting. No rest, no pause. On the Endurance, Admiral Laura Bennett watched everything. Her heavy cruisers stayed back now. It fired long-range shots to help the smaller ships. "Admiral," Daniel Hayes said from communications, "Ground Command reports contact. The humans are linking up. They're pushing the Vexari back in Sectors 3 and 7. Laura let out a slow breath. "Good. Tell them to hold. We're sending more." She turned to Nathan Cole. "Prepare the reserve Marines. They go down next." Nathan hesitated. "Admiral, if we send them, the Endurance has almost no defense left." Laura looked at him. "Then we fight with what we have. The ground needs every gun." Nathan gave a small smile. "Aye, Admiral." The reserve pods launched soon after. More power-armored humans fell to the planet. They landed near the hardest fighting. One group hit close to the Queen Nest, that huge underground hive where the Vexari mind lived. Sergeant Olivia Grant was in one of those pods. She had survived the Reliant. Her arm was bandaged, her face black with soot. But she still carried her sword and rifle. Her pod hit dirt. The door blew open. She stepped out first. Vexari swarmed from tunnels ahead. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Olivia raised her rifle. "With me," she shouted. Her squad followed. They charged straight at the enemy. Bullets flew. Grenades rolled. Vexari died in waves. But more came. Olivia fought like she had nothing left to lose. She cut with her sword, shot with her rifle. When ammo ran dry, she used the rifle like a club. She stepped over bodies, human and alien. She kept going. Behind her, other squads joined. They formed a line. They pushed toward the nest entrance, a big hole in the ground, dark, full of clicking sounds. Colonel Jacob Hayes reached the same area. He saw Olivia's group. He ran to join them. "Sergeant Grant," he said, "good to see you alive." Olivia wiped blood from her face. "Colonel, we're going in." Jacob looked at the dark hole. "Then we go together." They gathered what forces they could. 200 humans, some in power armor, some in light gear. All tired, all determined. They charged the nest. Vexari elites waited inside, bigger than the others, thicker armor, longer claws. They met the humans at the entrance. The fight became chaos. Close, brutal, no room to run. Knives, fists, bayonets, plasma burned flesh, blood ran on stone. Olivia found herself facing one elite. It towered over her. She dodged a claw, then drove her sword into its leg joint. It screamed. She climbed its back, jammed her rifle barrel into a soft spot behind its head, pulled the trigger. Green brains sprayed. She fell off as it died. Jacob pulled her up. "Keep pushing," he shouted. They moved deeper. The air grew thick, hot. The Queen's mind voice echoed in their heads. Pain, anger, fear. The humans did not stop. In space, the last destroyers formed a thin line. They burned everything left. Missiles, rail rounds, point defense until guns melted. Captain Ethan Brooks was gone, but his ship's death had cleared the way. Now the others used it. Admiral Laura Bennett watched her tactical map. The Vexari swarm started to break, not all at once, small groups first, then bigger ones. The hive mind felt the Queen under attack. It hesitated. Laura spoke into the fleet channel. "All ships, press the advantage, the ground is winning." The Endurance fired its last heavy salvo. It hit a Vexari command ship. The enemy vessel broke apart. On the ground, Jacob's force reached the Queen chamber. A huge open space, walls of living flesh. The queen sat in the center. Massive, many eyes, legs like trees. She screamed, a sound that hurt ears. Vexari guards rushed forward. The humans met them. Olivia threw her last grenade. It exploded near the queen. Chunks of flesh flew. Jacob aimed his rifle. "For the colonies," he shouted. He fired. The shot hit one of the queen's eyes. She reared back. More shots came, from every direction. Plasma, bullets, explosives. The queen thrashed. Her legs crushed her own guards. Then she fell. Slow, heavy, the ground shook. Silence came. Not full silence, just the end of her voice in their heads. The Vexari around them froze, then scattered. Panic spread through the swarm. Outside, the fighting slowed. Vexari ran. Some dropped dead without wounds. The hive mind broke. Jacob stood over the queen's body. He breathed hard. Blood ran down his armor. Olivia walked up beside him. "It's over," she said. Jacob looked around, at the dead, at the living, at the humans who still stood. "Not over," he said, "but we won this part." Above, the remaining human ships watched the swarm collapse. Cheers came over the comms. Quiet, at first. Then, louder. Admiral Laura Bennett allowed herself one small smile. The relentless ones had turned the tide. And the stars would remember. Loss appeared certain, until relentless human warriors entered the fray. Part 5. The queen lay dead in the deep chamber. Her huge body filled the space like a broken mountain. Green blood pooled around her. The clicking sounds of the Vexari stopped. For the first time in the long war, silence came to their hive. Colonel Jacob Hayes stood over the corpse. His power armor smoked. One arm plate hung loose from a claw strike. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead. He breathed hard through his helmet filter. Around him, the last of his force waited. Some knelt. Some leaned on rifles. All looked tired beyond words. Sergeant Olivia Grant walked up beside him. Her sword dripped green. She had lost her rifle 2 fights ago. Now she carried only the blade and a pistol with 3 rounds left. "It's quiet," she said. Jacob nodded slowly. "The mind is gone. They feel it." Outside the nest, the swarm broke apart. Vexari warriors that had pressed so hard now ran. Some dropped their weapons. Some turned on each other in blind panic. The yellow glow in their eyes faded. Without the queen, they were just insects again. Scared. Lost. In the trenches around the colony walls, coalition soldiers saw it happen. Vexari that had climbed the barriers suddenly stopped. Then, they turned and fled. Some fell over their own legs in their rush. Human cheers rose. Small at first, then loud. Voices hoarse from smoke and shouting. Private Emily Ford stood on the wall. She lowered her rifle. Tears cut clean lines through the dirt on her face. She laughed once, a short, broken sound. Then she sat down hard. Her legs would not hold her anymore. Next to her, Kevin Lee, who had survived the Reliant, helped a wounded coalition soldier to his feet. "It's over," he said. "We did it." The soldier looked at him. "You humans, you really came. Told you we would." In the command bunker, Colonel Brian Hayes listened to the reports. Every channel told the same story. Vexari retreat, full collapse, no counterattack, no last wave. He turned to his radio operator. "Send to all units. The enemy is broken. Secure the perimeter. Help the wounded. No pursuit. Let them run." Then he opened a channel to the sky. "Endurance, this is ground command. The Queen is dead. The swarm is scattering. We hold the planet." Admiral Laura Bennett received the message on her battered bridge. The Endurance had taken many hits. Half her guns were silent. Air recyclers wheezed, but she still stood. She closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, her voice stayed steady. "Copy, ground. Good work. All ships, cease fire on retreating targets. Form defensive screen. We stay until relief arrives. Nathan Cole stood beside her. Relief might take days, Admiral. We're down to 4 ships that can still move. Laura looked at the tactical map. 4 green dots left. The rest were gone. Drifting hulks, burning wrecks, small lights that had burned bright and fast. Then 4 will have to be enough, she said. She opened a fleet-wide channel. Human ships only. This is Admiral Bennett. You held, you fought, you won. Every man and woman who gave today, thank you. Earth will hear your names. Rest now. We've got the watch. Quiet answers came back. Copy. Thank you, Admiral. For the fallen. No big words, just the truth. On the surface, Jacob Hayes led his people out of the nest. They carried their dead. They helped the wounded. Vexari bodies lay everywhere. Some still twitched. Most did not move. Olivia walked beside him. She looked back once at the dark hole they had come from. Think they'll come back? She asked. Jacob shook his head. Not soon. The hive mind is shattered. It will take years to rebuild. If ever. They reached the surface. Sunlight cut through smoke. The sky looked almost blue again. A group of civilians waited near the main gate. Old men, women, children. They had hidden for weeks. Now they stepped out. Some cried. Some just stared. One little girl ran forward. She stopped in front of Jacob. She looked up at his tall armor. Are you the ones who saved us? She asked. Jacob knelt. His armor hissed as joints moved. He took off his helmet. His face was dirty, tired, but kind. We all did, he said. Everyone who fought. Everyone who held on. The girl smiled. Then she hugged his armored leg. Jacob did not move for a long moment. Then he put one big hand gently on her head. In low orbit, the last human ship circled slow. The Defiant still flew. Lieutenant Ryan Coleman sat at his station. His hands shook now that the fight was done. Captain Sophia Grant walked over. She put a hand on his shoulder. You kept us alive up here, she said. Ryan looked up. We all did. Sophia nodded. Then she looked out the viewport. The planet below looked small, but it still turned, still lived. A signal came in from the Endurance. Defiant, this is flagship. Long-range scan shows Coalition Relief Fleet inbound. ETA 36 hours. Hold position. Sophia smiled for the first time in days. Copy, flagship. We'll be here. On the ground, night fell. Fires burned low. People sat together. Some ate what little food remained. Some told stories. Some just slept where they fell. Jacob Hayes found a quiet spot near the wall. He sat with his back against stone. Olivia joined him. They shared a water pouch. You ever think we'd see this day? She asked. Jacob looked at the stars. I hoped, but I didn't know. They sat in silence for a while. Then Jacob spoke again. But tonight we remember. Olivia nodded. For the ones who didn't make it. They looked up. 4 small lights moved across the sky. Human ships. Still watching. Still guarding. In the morning, the first relief ships arrived. Big transports, medical frigates, fresh troops. They landed in columns of dust and light. A coalition general stepped out first. He walked to Jacob and Olivia. He saluted. You held the line, he said. The galaxy will not forget. Jacob returned the salute. We just did what needed doing. The general looked at the tired humans around him, at the scars, at the blood, at the quiet strength. Yes, he said, you did. Days later, a small shuttle landed near the main colony. An Alliance diplomat stepped out. He was tall, thin, not human. He asked to speak to Captain Ethan Brooks. Then he remembered. Ethan was gone. He found Captain Lucas Bennett instead. Lucas stood on a hill overlooking the rebuilt wall. The diplomat spoke softly. Why did you do it? The odds were impossible. You could have retreated, saved your fleet. Lucas looked at the horizon. Smoke still rose in places, but green showed through the black in others. Because someone had to, he said, and we were the ones still standing. The diplomat waited. Lucas turned to him. Humans don't always run from the dark, he continued. Sometimes we walk into it. Because if we don't, who will? The diplomat had no answer. He just bowed once. Then he left. Years passed. Kalis IV healed. Cities rose again. Children played in streets that once ran with blood. Stories spread, not just of the battle, but of the humans who came when all hope seemed gone. They called it many things, the last charge, the day the swarm broke. But on Earth and her colonies, they called it something simpler. The day the Relentless ones entered the fray. And the galaxy never forgot. Loss appeared certain, until relentless human warriors entered the fray. Part 1. The stars above Kalis IV looked cold and distant. The coalition fleet floated in pieces. Many ships burned quietly in the black. Their lights flickered like dying candles. The insect-like ships of the Vexari Dominion moved through the wreckage. They looked like a dark cloud made of metal and claws. Admiral Laura Bennett stood on the bridge of the UNS Endurance. She was tall, with short gray hair and tired blue eyes. She stared at the big screen in front of her. Red dots covered almost the whole map. Each red dot was a dead or dying ship. The green dots, her own ships, were very few now. "Report," she said in a low voice. Communications Officer Daniel Hayes turned from his station. He was young, maybe 25, with messy brown hair. His hands shook a little as he spoke. "Admiral, we lost contact with the last frigate group 10 minutes ago. The Vexari broke through our outer line. Their pods are already falling to the planet. 3 million warriors, at least, maybe more." Laura did not answer right away. She looked at the planet below. Kalis IV had blue oceans and green lands once. Now, smoke rose from the cities. The last coalition colonies were trapped inside strong walls, but the walls would not hold forever. "How many of our ships can still fight?" she asked. Daniel checked his screen again. 12 destroyers, 1 heavy cruiser, that's us. The rest are gone or too damaged to move. A quiet sound came from the bridge crew. It was not a word. It was just the sound people make when hope starts to leave. Laura turned to her executive officer, Captain Nathan Cole. He was older, with a short beard and calm brown eyes. He had fought in 3 wars before this one. "We can't stop them from space anymore," Nathan said. "The ground forces need time. If we pull back now, the colonies die in days." "We pull back, we live," Laura answered. "We stay, we die with them." Nathan looked at her for a long moment. "Some things are worth dying for, Admiral." Before Laura could reply, a new voice came over the fleet channel. It was clear and strong. "This is Captain Ethan Brooks of the UNS Reliant. All human ships, form up on my position. We are not leaving." Laura's eyes narrowed. She pressed the talk button. "Captain Brooks, this is Admiral Bennett. Stand down. That is an order." The answer came fast. "With respect, Admiral, no. Protocol says retreat. But humanity does not leave its people to die. Not today." The bridge went quiet. She felt the weight of their eyes. On the small destroyer Reliant, Ethan Brooks stood in his command chair. He was not tall, but he looked solid. Dark hair, sharp jaw, and green eyes that did not look away. He had been a farmer's son on Earth before the war. Now he was a captain with a ship that had more holes than windows. His first officer, Lieutenant Rachel Morgan, stood next to him. She had red hair tied back and freckles across her nose. She looked worried. "Sir, the Admiral will court-martial you for this," she said. "If we live long enough," Ethan answered. He gave a small smile. "Plot course for the Vexari descent lane, full burn." Rachel hesitated only a second. Then she nodded. "Aye, sir." Around the small group of human ships, orders flew fast. Engineers pushed reactors past red lines. The engines glowed hot. Marines checked their rifles and knives. Pilots climbed into fighters that looked old and tired. No one made big speeches. They just worked. Quiet. Steady. Like people who had already decided. On the Endurance, Laura watched the 12 destroyers move. They left the main fleet position. They turned toward the enemy. "Admiral," Daniel said, "they are really doing it." Laura closed her eyes for 1 second. When she opened them, her voice was hard. "Signal the fleet. All remaining coalition ships are to cover the retreat of non-human allies. Human ships will hold the line." Nathan looked at her. "You're not stopping them?" "I can't stop them," she said, "and maybe I don't want to." The Vexari did not understand what they saw. Their sensors picked up the tiny human force moving straight at them. The Dominion hive mind laughed in its cold way. 12 ships against millions. It was nothing. But the humans did not stop. The Reliant led the way. Its engines roared. Fire came from its thrusters like long white knives. The other destroyers followed close. They flew in a tight arrow shape. No fancy moves, just straight ahead. Inside the Reliant, the corridors were loud. Boots ran. Voices shouted short orders. In the mess hall, a young Marine named Kevin Lee ate one last protein bar. He looked at his friend, Private Alex Carter. "You scared?" Kevin asked. Alex shrugged. "Yeah, but I'm more scared of running." Kevin laughed once. It was a short, dry sound. Then he checked his shotgun again. On the bridge, Ethan watched the range numbers drop fast. The Vexari interceptors were coming now. Small, fast ships with sharp legs and acid spitters. Hundreds of them. "Point defense. Free fire," Ethan said. The guns answered. Streams of bright bullets filled the space in front of the ship. Chitin shells cracked and burned. The interceptors died in flashes. But more came. Always more. A big Vexari boarding pod hit the side of the Reliant. The ship shook hard. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. "Boarders on deck 3, someone yelled over the intercom. Ethan did not look surprised. "Marines, go, hold them." Sergeant Olivia Grant was already moving. She was short but strong, with black hair in a tight bun. She carried a heavy rifle and a short sword made from ship metal. Her squad followed her down the corridor. Smoke filled the air. The lights flickered. Vexari warriors crawled through the hole in the hull. They were tall, with 6 legs and clicking jaws. Their eyes glowed yellow. Olivia did not wait. She fired first. The rifle kicked hard. A Vexari head exploded in green blood. Her squad opened up next. The hallway became a storm of noise and fire. One Vexari reached her. Its claw cut her arm. She did not scream. She drove her sword into its neck. The creature fell. She stepped over it and kept shooting. Back on the bridge, Ethan felt the ship groan. Damage reports came fast. Lost power on deck 4. Fires in engineering. He looked at Rachel. "Keep us moving. We have to reach the drop zone." Rachel nodded. Her hands moved fast on the controls. Outside, the Endurance followed close behind. Its big guns fired at the Vexari hive carriers. The shots hit hard. One carrier broke open. Pods spilled out like broken eggs. Laura watched it all from her bridge. She felt something strange in her chest. Not fear, not hope exactly. It was something older, something human. "They are buying time," she said quietly. "Every second they fight, the people on the ground get one more breath." Nathan stood beside her. "They are not just buying time, Admiral. They are fighting like they mean to win." Laura looked at the screen. The small human ships pushed deeper into the swarm. Lasers and missiles lit up the dark. Ships bled air and fire, but they did not turn back. On Kalis 4, in an underground command post, a coalition colonel named Brian Hayes, watched the sky feed. He saw the human ships coming. His soldiers, tired, hungry, wounded, looked up too. One of them, a young woman named Emily Ford, pointed. "Look, the humans are coming." Brian stared at the screen. A small smile touched his face. "Yeah," he said, "they are." Above them, the battle grew louder. The Vexari swarm pressed harder. The human ships took hit after hit. But they kept moving forward. Loss appeared certain. But the humans had entered the fray, and they were not stopping.